Thank you for watching. Subscribe on Betrayed Man's Diary for more stories. If someone had asked me 5 years ago what my life looked like, I would have said it was just about perfect. I had the American dream. A stable career, a gorgeous home in a quiet neighborhood, 2 amazing sons, and a wife I thought I'd grow old with. My name is Ben. I'm 38, and for most of my adult life, I've tried to be a solid man, a dependable husband, a devoted father. And until recently, I thought I was doing a decent job. My wife, Laura, is smart, driven, and ambitious, everything I admired in a partner. We met back in college, started dating after graduation, and built our life from the ground up. We weren't flashy, but we were happy. At least I thought we were. A couple years ago, Laura landed a new position as the director of nursing at a nearby elder care facility. It was a step up for her, more responsibility, better pay, more recognition. I was proud of her. She had worked hard, and she deserved every bit of success she earned. I told her that. I supported her 100%. That's what partners do, right? But almost immediately after she started that job, things began to shift. And not in a way I could easily ignore. At first, it was subtle. A little less laughter at the dinner table. Shorter conversations at night. The occasional cold shoulder over something small. I chalked it up to the stress of a new role. I figured she just needed time to adjust. But as the weeks rolled into months, the distance between us kept growing wider. Laura's assistant, David, was a younger guy, early 30s, athletic, sharp, always dressed just a little too well for the job. I met him once, briefly, when I brought lunch to Laura's office as a surprise. The way he looked at her. I didn't like it. Not because I thought she was in danger or anything, but because it was obvious he admired her. And Laura? She lit up around him in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. After that day, things really started to unravel. Arguments became a regular thing. And not even about big stuff, tiny things that should have rolled off our backs turned into full-blown tension. A misplaced coffee mug. A forgotten errand. A wrong tone in a text message. It was like we were both on edge constantly, tiptoeing around something neither of us wanted to name. But the real blow came in the bedroom. Or rather, the lack of one. Our sex life didn't just slow down, it came to a screeching halt. First it was a couple of "not tonight, I'm tired" responses, which turned into weeks without intimacy. Then months. I tried to talk about it, gently. I asked if something was wrong, if she was feeling okay. I even suggested we see a counselor together, thinking maybe the stress of work and parenting had just caught up with us. But she shut me down every time. Said I was overreacting. That I was reading into things too much. She stopped kissing me goodbye in the mornings. Stopped saying I love you unless I said it first, and even then, it felt forced, like muscle memory more than meaning. And then there were the late nights. Laura started staying late at work more often than not. At first, she'd text me or call to let me know. Just wrapping up a project, she'd say. We're short-staffed tonight. That kind of thing. But after a while, the updates stopped. Some nights she wouldn't come home until 10 p.m. or later, and when I asked where she'd been, she got defensive. Told me I was being paranoid. That I needed to trust her. And I wanted to trust her. God, I did. But the gut feeling in me, the one that whispered when she walked past me without touching me, the one that flared every time I heard her laugh at a text she wouldn't show me, it was growing louder. Something wasn't right. I found myself checking her phone when she left it unattended. I hated that version of myself, the one snooping through messages, scanning call logs, trying to make sense of why the woman I loved was slipping away. But I had no peace. And I found nothing obvious, just a lot of deleted messages, vague calendar entries, and a locked photo album I didn't have the password to. I started staying up later than usual, pretending to be asleep when she came in just so I could hear her keys jingle, hear her tiptoe through the house. Sometimes she'd shower before bed, something she never used to do after work, and climb in without saying a word. I'd lie there next to her, eyes wide open in the dark, wondering how the hell we got here. How do you go from being partners to being strangers under the same roof? The night it all fell apart started like so many others: quiet tension, half-hearted small talk, kids already tucked into bed, and the two of us barely sharing more than a few words. But something snapped that evening. I don't even remember what the argument was about. Something stupid, probably. Maybe dishes in the sink, maybe one of the boys leaving toys in the hallway. But under the surface, we both knew it wasn't about any of that. It was about the fact that we were no longer us. And then she said it. "I don't love you anymore, Ben. I don't feel anything for you." She said it so calmly, like she was reading the weather report. No yelling. No crying. Just cold, flat honesty. And it shattered me in a way I didn't know I could be shattered. I couldn't even respond at first. My heart dropped into my stomach. I just stared at her, trying to find some flicker of the woman I married in her eyes, but she wasn't there. I remember sitting down on the edge of the couch, my hands shaking. "What are you saying, Laura?" I asked. She looked at me like she pitied me. "I've been trying for months. But it's not coming back. The connection is gone." I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the living room, staring out the window while the rest of the house stayed dark and silent. A few days later, we got into another argument. I was desperate to fix things, to get her to see the damage this was causing, not just to me, but to our boys. I was pleading, trying to make her remember who we were. And that's when her brother showed up. He didn't even look me in the eye. He walked in, helped her pack up a few bags, and told her she should go stay at their mother's house for a while. Just to cool off. She didn't even fight it. She scooped up our boys, told them they were going on a little trip to Grandma's, and walked out the door. She never came back. Just like that, my house was hollow. Empty bedrooms. Empty dinner table. Empty arms. I didn't know what to do with myself. There was no handbook for this, no guide for how to keep breathing when the person you built your life around walks away like it was nothing. But I didn't give up. I couldn't. I started working on myself. Not because she asked me to, not because I thought it would magically fix things, but because I needed to feel like I had some kind of control. I started seeing a therapist. I read books on relationships, on communication, on how to rebuild a marriage. I took up running. Started eating better. Made time for hobbies I'd abandoned years ago. And the whole time, I held on to this hope, this stupid, desperate hope, that she'd see the changes. That she'd come back. That maybe, just maybe, there was something still left between us that could be salvaged. I sent her long, heartfelt emails. I tried calling. I asked if we could go to counseling. Sometimes she replied, but only with short, polite rejections. "I'm not ready. It's too soon. Let's focus on the boys." What I didn't know then, what I would find out much later, was that while I was doing everything I could to fix the cracks, she was already gone in more ways than one. She was with him. David. Her assistant. The one I had a bad feeling about from day one. The one who always seemed to linger a little too long around her desk, who always managed to be there in her late-night stories about work emergencies and unexpected overtime. She was having an affair. While I was fighting for our marriage, she was building a new relationship on the ashes of our old one. While I was sitting alone in our empty living room, wondering what I could have done differently, she was laughing in someone else's bed. When Laura left with our boys, I told myself I'd give her space. But as the weeks passed and the silence between us grew heavier, something inside me shifted. I couldn't sit still anymore. I needed to know what was really going on, because every instinct in me was screaming that there was more to the story than she was letting on. So I started digging. Not in a shady or malicious way. I wasn't trying to hack her accounts or do anything illegal. But I knew her routines. I knew how she thought. And it didn't take much effort to track down what she had tried so hard to hide. I kept records, messages, timestamps, inconsistencies. I followed her social media habits, quietly tracked her movements. Same restaurants, same time blocks missing every day. There were receipts in our shared bank history that didn't add up, gas stations nowhere near her mom's house, coffee shops she never used to go to. Once, I spotted my car parked outside a random motel when I drove past after work. She had taken it that day, claiming she needed to run errands. Then it all came to a head. One afternoon, a few months after she'd left, Laura called and said she wanted to talk about the next steps. I invited her over, and she showed up with a folder under her arm and a pitiful look in her eyes. I could already tell she wasn't here to fix anything. She sat down at the kitchen table and slid the paperwork across to me. "I had a lawyer draw these up," she said. "We should talk about dividing the assets. The house, the cars, the accounts." I stared at the documents, heart pounding. Even though I knew it was coming, seeing it laid out in legal language made it real in a way that punched the air out of my lungs. 13 years together. 2 kids. A life we built. Reduced to bullet points and legalese. I didn't say anything at first. I just leaned back in my chair, looked her in the eyes, and asked one simple question. "Is he worth it?" She froze. "What?" "You know who I'm talking about," I said, calmly. "David. Is he worth everything you're throwing away?" Her lips trembled. For a second, I thought she might lie again, but then something in her gave out. Her eyes welled up with tears, and her shoulders collapsed like she couldn't carry the lie anymore. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. We started talking, and then. I don't know. It was stupid. I know it was stupid." She admitted everything. She told me they started hooking up a few months into the job. That at first it was just flirtation, a little spark. Then it turned into lunch breaks in the back of my car, where they would sneak away to screw like horny teenagers in parking lots. I listened in silence, every detail cutting deeper than the last. "He's married," I said, voice cold. She nodded, tears streaming now. "I know. He has 4 kids. I knew the whole time. I didn't care. God, Ben, I just wanted to feel wanted again." That line hit me harder than all the others. I wanted to scream, "I wanted you." I still wanted you, but the words wouldn't come. "He told me he'd leave her eventually," she continued, her voice shaking. I believed him. I kept waiting, thinking maybe we'd get to be together. But he never would. He never even considered it. He was never going to choose me. And then she broke. Like, full-on sobbing. Hands over her face, gasping for air through the guilt and shame and heartbreak. "I gave up everything for him," she cried. "And I have nothing. He gets to go home to his perfect wife and pretend like none of this ever happened. He gets to keep his life. And I lost mine." That was the part that stung the most. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd betrayed herself. She let go of our family, our kids, our history, for a man who only saw her as a lunchtime thrill. A midday escape from his own responsibilities. He won the damn lottery. He got to sleep with his boss, then go home and kiss his wife and tuck his kids in without a second thought. Meanwhile, I was left picking up the wreckage of a 13-year relationship like it was trash on the side of the road. When she realized I knew everything, when she saw the stack of evidence I had collected, the receipts and timelines and text backups, she stopped denying it. She couldn't. She just cried harder, repeating over and over that she was sorry. But it was too late. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust. Sorry doesn't erase the image of her moaning in my car with another man while I was at home making dinner for our sons. Sorry doesn't fix a broken family. That day, something inside me closed for good. Not just the chapter of our marriage, but the part of me that still held out hope that we could fix this. Because how do you repair something that was never just cracked, but completely crushed under the weight of deceit? She filed for divorce in January. That was it, the official end. All the years, the memories, the promises. Reduced to court paperwork and legal procedures. We were no longer fighting. We were just unraveling. The process is still ongoing. We're sorting out custody, splitting assets, playing legal ping pong through our attorneys. But what's strange, what hurts in an entirely different way, is how sweet she's been lately. She texts me now with this strange softness. Hope you're doing okay. Tell the boys I said good luck at practice. She shows up at our son's baseball games and practices, knowing I'll be there. She sits just a few rows away, waving like we're still on friendly terms, smiling like she didn't burn our whole world to the ground. I ignore her. Completely. I can't look at her without feeling sick. Not just anger, though there's plenty of that, but shame. Disgust. Grief. She was supposed to be my partner. My best friend. The mother of my children. My ride or die. And now I don't even recognize the woman who cheated on me, lied to me, and walked out without a second thought. Every time I see her, I wonder how she could have done this to me. To us. I'm haunted by the fact that she was sweet. She was loyal. I believed in her. And then she became someone capable of sneaking off with a married man during work hours while I stayed home and cared for our kids. How do you ever make peace with that? I keep asking myself if I was ever enough. If I missed something. If I was blind. If I failed her in some invisible way. And even though I know, deep down, that this wasn't my fault, the self-doubt still lingers like a poison. What kills me most is the total lack of remorse. No talk of reconciliation. No real apology. No begging for forgiveness. It's like she made peace with what she did. Like she decided to blow up our life and just walked away without looking back. And that's the part one can't forgive. Not just the affair, but how little she seems to care about what it cost us. And yet, she still works with him. The same clown she threw her marriage away for. They sit in the same office, probably exchanging the same inside jokes, pretending like they didn't destroy multiple lives with their selfish choices. I know everything about him now. I have his name, his job history, his social media, and yes, I even tracked down his wife's phone number. I haven't contacted her. Not yet. But after the divorce is final? I plan to. Because she deserves to know. She deserves the truth. Just like I did. This guy? He's a joke. A downgrade in every way. I'm not even saying that out of bitterness. Objectively, it's true. He's not successful, he's not a good father, from what I've found out, and he's not even attractive. He's a midlife escapist with a fragile ego and a thing for married women. And that's who she picked. 13 years, and she threw it all away for him. Sometimes I sit in the quiet of the house and wish there was a way back. That maybe, just maybe, if she came to me tomorrow with genuine remorse, if she apologized with her whole heart and cut off all contact with David, that we could somehow rebuild. That we could be a family again. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's broken. Beyond repair. I don't know if I could ever trust her again, even if she did say all the right things. I know too much now. I've seen the texts, the patterns, the choices she made over and over again. She didn't just slip. She dove headfirst into betrayal and stayed there, fully aware of what it meant. I wonder if she'll regret it someday. Maybe not now, when it's all still fresh and exciting. But later. When the novelty wears off. When the thrill fades. When David goes back to his wife, or finds someone younger, or just gets bored. Will Laura look back and realize what she gave up? Will she remember our boys growing up without both parents in the same house? Will she ever wish she had chosen differently? Because I do. Every single day. I wish there was a way to fix this. But wishing hasn't done me any favors so far. So for now, I just focus on my sons. They're my reason. My strength. My redemption. I show up to every game, every school event, every bedtime story, even when my heart feels like it's made of glass. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe someday I'll fall in love again. Maybe I'll learn to trust again. Or maybe I'll just become someone who lives with the scar and keeps moving forward anyway. It's been almost a year now since the day she left with our boys. I still remember standing in the driveway, watching her car pull away, wondering if I'd ever see my family whole again. A lot has happened since then, too much, honestly, but here we are. The divorce is in its final stages. A few more signatures, a final hearing, and the last thread tying me to Laura as my wife will be officially severed. And just when I thought the dust had finally settled, something completely unexpected happened. I got a message on LinkedIn. Of all places. At first, I thought it was spam, one of those random connection requests from someone trying to sell insurance or rope me into a pyramid scheme. But when I clicked the profile, my heart nearly stopped. It was her. David's wife. She had reached out to me. The message was short and direct: I believe we need to talk. Can you call me? No fluff. No emojis. No explanation. Just that. My hands were trembling as I typed back. We exchanged numbers, and I called her later that evening. I didn't know what to expect: anger, denial, a demand to leave her family alone. But what I got was something entirely different. She picked up on the first ring. Her voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, something broken. I introduced myself, and she confirmed who she was. We didn't waste time on small talk. I told her what happened. How my wife and her husband had been sneaking around for months. How it wasn't just flirtation, it was full-on physical. How they used my car. My house. My life as their playground. She was silent for a long moment. Then she let out a tired breath and said, "You're the second person to tell me this." That hit hard. She'd known. At least suspected. Some other poor soul out there had already come forward and tried to shine a light on David's betrayal. And now here I was, confirming every dark corner she probably hoped wasn't real. And then she snapped. Not at me, but at Laura. She told me, flat out, that she was planning to physically hurt my wife. That she wanted to show up at her workplace, drag her into the parking lot, and make her pay for every lie, every kiss, every betrayal. I didn't stop her. I didn't offer some noble, restrained response. I didn't try to calm her down. All I said was, do what you've got to do. Because honestly, I meant it. If anyone had a right to feel rage, it was her. My wife didn't just blow up our life, she stuck a stick of dynamite into someone else's family and lit the fuse without a second thought. She had an affair with a man who had 4 kids. A man who promised nothing, delivered less, and left destruction in every direction. The call lasted about an hour. We swapped timelines, compared details, confirmed suspicions. It was like trading pieces of a puzzle neither of us ever wanted to solve. By the end of it, we both sat in silence, knowing there wasn't much left to say. Just 2 strangers, both betrayed, both reeling, trying to make sense of the wreckage. She thanked me for being honest. I thanked her for reaching out. And then we hung up. I don't know what she'll do with the information. Whether she'll leave him. Whether she'll burn it all down or try to salvage her marriage. That's her call. Her fight. I've fought mine, and I'm exhausted. But I do feel lighter. Because now the truth is out there. Fully. Completely. The web of lies has been torn apart. No more secrets. No more wondering if he's still getting away with it, if she's still believing his nonsense. He doesn't get to walk away untouched anymore. And neither does she. After everything that's happened, after the betrayal, the lies, the silence, the damage, I've reached a point where I can't carry the weight of it all anymore. I've done what I could. I said what needed to be said. And now, I'm leaving it in God's hands. Whatever happens from here, I trust that karma will sort it out. I know David still works with her. That part hasn't changed. She's still in that same building, likely walking past him every day like none of it ever happened. She doesn't talk about it. Not the affair. Not the fallout. It's like she boxed up the most destructive chapter of our lives and shoved it into a closet somewhere, pretending it doesn't exist. But here's what has changed: her attitude. Laura's been unusually nice lately. Not in a loving or affectionate way, but in this overly polite, sugary sweet way that feels more like guilt than genuine warmth. She texts more often. She smiles when we meet up for the boys' school events or practices. She compliments my parenting. I don't reciprocate. I'm cordial. I'm respectful. But I'm not warm. We're not friends. We're not partners. We're not anything beyond two people who co-parent two amazing sons. If we're not talking about them, we're not talking at all. That's just how it has to be. The other night, I had to call her to clarify the parenting schedule. I caught her on her drive home from work. From the tone of her voice, I could tell right away something was off. She kept her responses short, like she was holding something back. The pauses between her sentences were long and awkward. And in those silences, I heard sniffling. She was crying. Or at least trying not to. I think she wanted me to ask. To say, what's wrong? To throw her a lifeline of emotional connection. But I didn't. I stuck to the subject. When we finished going over the schedule, she said softly, "We don't talk anymore." I didn't miss a beat. "That's because we're getting divorced," I said. "And because you did something to me that I'm still hurt and angry about." Silence. I could feel the weight of her regret pressing through the phone. She didn't say anything after that. I think in that moment, she realized what she'd actually lost, not just a marriage, not just a home, but me. The man who had her back for over a decade. The father of her children. Her best friend. Her family. It's textbook, really. I knew this would happen. I knew, eventually, the high would wear off. The excitement of sneaking around, the thrill of forbidden moments, those things always fade. And when they do, reality comes crashing back. The bills, the custody plans, the empty spaces in holiday pictures. That's when regret starts creeping in. And I see it now. In the way she lingers when she drops the boys off. In the way her texts are too friendly, too full of emojis and compliments. In the way her eyes shift when she sees me laughing with our sons, realizing she's no longer part of those moments. She's starting to regret it. But it's too late. You can't undo betrayal. You can't rewind time and choose differently. You can only live with the consequences. And me? I'm healing. Slowly. Painfully. But I'm moving forward. She may try to come back someday. She may test the waters, send a text too emotional for a co-parenting relationship, try to rebuild what she destroyed. But I'm not the same man anymore. I've grown harder where I used to be soft. Wiser where I used to be naive. And I'm not waiting around to be anyone's backup plan. This chapter of my life is ending not with a dramatic slam of the door, but with a quiet, deliberate turn of the page. Let her regret it. Let her sit with the silence she created. I'll be over here, raising my sons, rebuilding my peace, and keeping my heart protected from people who don't know how to value it. It's been a long road, no doubt. Some days still carry a bit of that old heaviness, but I can finally say, with all sincerity, I've moved on. I don't mean that in the Instagram inspirational quote kind of way. I mean I've really started putting one foot in front of the other again. My life is no longer defined by what she did to me or what I lost. I'm still here, standing, breathing, and becoming something better. My focus now? Me and my boys. Every single day, I wake up with a renewed sense of purpose. I pour into my sons, giving them the love, structure, and presence that never wavered, not even when my heart was broken. They're off for the summer now, so I'm planning some fun staycations for us. Trips to the zoo, backyard camping, movie marathons with popcorn and late-night giggles. It's not about how far we go, it's about making memories with them right here, right now. This is our new chapter, and I'm writing it the best I can. On top of that, I'm also preparing for a big step. I'm selling the house. The same house where I watched my family fall apart. The walls that heard the arguments, the silence, the confessions. It's time to let it go. I found a new place across town, nothing fancy, but it feels like a fresh start. A clean slate. A place where my boys and I can laugh without ghosts in every room. I've made peace with the fact that some people won't ever change. That closure doesn't always come from an apology or reconciliation. Sometimes it comes from accepting what is, letting go of what was, and stepping into what could be. And for those who followed this story, offered advice, shared your own experiences, or simply listened, thank you. Truly, I've leaned heavily on faith through this journey. It hasn't always been easy to keep my head up or my heart open. But I've kept God first, even on the days I felt forgotten or overwhelmed. And He's been faithful through it all. So that's where I'll leave this. Life goes on, people. You can survive betrayal. You can survive heartbreak. You can lose what you thought was your forever and still build something beautiful from the ashes. Keep God first. Trust in Him, even when the path looks uncertain. He'll guide you through the storm, just like He did for me. God bless you all, and thank you again. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more incredible stories like this one.